stay on with me, because to put this in perspective of why this really is significant, joining us on this broadcast is Senior Fellow of the ORF and a Strategic Affairs Expert, Sushant Sareen. Sushant Sareen, thank you so much for speaking with us. It is perhaps the biggest ever anti-terror operation we've seen in recent times across 13 states, an operation that was completely hush-hush. It was carried out in the dead of the night. Perhaps these PFI members, the leadership of the PFI, actually had no idea what was coming their way.
Well, I would be a little surprised if the PFI didn't know what was coming their way, because, there has been talk in the air that a crackdown is imminent on the PFI. But a crackdown of this scale, I don't think even the PFI would have expected it. I think they would have been expecting something to come their way, but not of this scale, number one. Number two, I also think that while one welcomes this particular crackdown, I wish it had happened about 10 years back. In the last decade or so, we have allowed the PFI to grow into a monster, which we are now trying to, get a grip on and trying to control and trying to perhaps eliminate. Because I suspect that the next step is going to be a proscription of this particular organization. But this should have been done almost a decade ago. But this is the way this country functions. We let a problem grow so big that, it becomes somewhat unmanageable before we then finally try and put your hands on it. And I think that is what we have done with the PFI. We have been remiss. Successive governments have been remiss in ensnaring this particular organization and eliminating it. But it's good that this kind of an action has been taken today. But this should not be enough. I think we need to move forward, and we need to crack down on other organizations and other avatars that the PFI might take if it is banned. So maybe you will need to beef up your laws a little bit more to ensure that there is no, there are no loopholes that can be exploited, and these organizations reorganize themselves in a different avatar with a different label under a different kind of structure. So I think those are considerations, but I'm sure people who are behind this particular raid, people in the intelligence agencies, people in the Home Ministry, would be looking into those aspects of this particular crackdown.
Right.
But I think every right-thinking Indian should be welcoming this crackdown today.
Absolutely. More needs to be done, but this definitely is a first step in the right direction. And stay on with me, because Ashish Mershi, my colleague, also joins us and he tracks the Enforcement Directorate very, very closely. And Ashish, the PFI and its top leadership has been under the Enforcement Directorate's radar for a very, very long time now. Many of them have been charge-sheeted as well in money laundering cases. So the source of funding of the Popular Front of India has been under the scanner of agencies in the country for a while now. That perhaps has culminated into the kind of crackdown we saw today, just so that a more watertight, fail-proof case is built against them.
So there are more important happenings that happened today. One is that the Enforcement Directorate registered a fresh PMLA case under which at least 3 individuals from Delhi are being arrested. One is Mohammad Parvez Ahmed, he is the PFI Delhi President. Ilyas Ahmed, he is the PFI Delhi General Secretary. And Abdul Muqeet, he is the PFI Office Secretary. There is another important arrest that has happened from Calicut, and this man is named Shafiq Daru Rahima. His arrest is important because he was coordinating all the funds that were coming from out of country, especially the Gulf countries. Now, if you go through the content of the charge sheet, this is something which was filed a few months back by the Enforcement Directorate. So this is the content that we're talking about. It says that the Enforcement Directorate findings say that PFI was involved into anti-CAA protest. They were inciting violence at the time of Delhi riots. They were also into social media campaign against the current government. They were basically involved in that as well. They were also involved into posters related to Babri Masjid. Then the NRC and Common Civil Code protest, again they were hand in glove, and also in the Rohingya, helping the Rohingya Muslims in Myanmar. There, these are areas where the concern of the PFI came into light by the Enforcement Directorate.
Right.
Now, the Enforcement Directorate basically is an agency which works under Prevention of Money Laundering Act, and they want to basically look at from where the money is coming, where the money is being used for anti-social activities or anti-national activities as well. So money was basically coming from UAE, Oman, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and many other Gulf countries. Ultimately, the money was collected in cash. It was brought through Hawala channel. So there were two ways of bringing money. One through the Hawala channel, and two, there were certain sympathizers in India where the money was shown as a remittance, normal remittance into their bank account or normal business transactions into Indian account, and further the cash was withdrawn and then submitted into the bank account of PFI as donations. And at the same time, if you see on the other hand, there were other Hawala channels through which the money was coming into India.
Right.
Cash, small cash was infused into hundreds of bank accounts, and then through those bank accounts,
right,
money
so that
as
modus
donation.
operandi of how really they got their funds is under the scanner. Do stay on with me because we have more breaking news now coming in. And